Anyway, in the heat of all of this panic and the memes and everything else that's going on, Donald Trump, of course, came out and is trying to get ahead of the situation. So he demanded that the DOJ investigate Epstein's ties to the Democrats. Now, I love this for two reasons. One, because there are ties with Democrats and Jeffrey Epstein, and I think those ties should be exposed. All right, let's get to the real news story of the day.
Now to
something that you guys have been waiting for. Also, Mr. Suck, we previously knew him as the PP president, okay? But I think he might also be Mr. Suck, okay? POTUS, more like Throatus. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about the Epstein revelations right now. It brings me incredible pleasure to talk about it, of course, partially because this is something that I have been screaming about for almost a decade. And now more and more people are tuning in to this issue. More and more people are recognizing the reality. More and more people are asking the question, why are there so many both liberal and Republican, both Democrat and Republican Party boosters that were so embedded with Jeffrey Epstein, so directly connected to Jeffrey Epstein? Why is Donald Trump so directly connected with Jeffrey Epstein? Now, of course, a lot of this is off of pure speculation. Jeffrey Epstein asked his brother, Mark Epstein, whether Putin has photos of Trump Bubba, which is Bill Clinton's nickname. And this obviously took a whole different life of its own. People lost their dang minds over it. They're like, oh my God, Donald Trump might have given the big to Big Bill. Totally redefining the term Big Beautiful Bill. If you assume that Bill Clinton was packing heat, because Bill Clinton's nickname is Bubba. Now, do I believe that Donald Trump actually throated Bill Clinton? No, I don't. Will I entertain it just for fun? Absolutely. Okay? I'm sorry. We can have some fun. America is out of control. It's bouldering in the direction of fascism. Material conditions are deteriorating at an alarming rate. So we're going to have a little bit of fun in the meantime. You know what I mean? We're going to speculate on whether or not the current president actually off the former president, Bill Clinton. Trump giving the microphone a blowjob, dude has to be gay, right? That's so funny. And of course, this ties back to one of my favorite conspiracies, which is not a conspiracy, but reality. Donald Trump is bisexual aromantic. Donald Trump simply has sex as a power status. That's precisely the reason why he is, many different sexual assault and allegations, including from his wife, his former wife, who passed away. Okay, but of course, many others are finally coming to that conclusion as well. So I will take it. Oh, I biromantic. Sorry, I said bisexual aromantic. Sorry, I meant ace biromantic. You're right. Ace visibility, bi visibility, perhaps in the worst possible way that we could do either of those things on this broadcast, but it needed to be done nonetheless. Donald Trump famous for talking about Arnold Palmer having a huge cock. Donald Trump famously a major fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Broadway musicals in general. Donald Trump, who has talked about how handsome all the people are around him with regular frequency. Donald Trump talking about kissing men in the crowd. Donald Trump offering this microphone a blowjob. Turns out it's not the only thing he might have offered a blowjob to. Let's take a look at this. I mean, come on, guys. Loves YMCA, dude. The double dance move originated with YMCA playing in the background. How are we going to sit here and act like the signs weren't there? How are we going to sit here and act as though the signs weren't hitting you in the face like Bill Clinton tapping it on Trump's tongue? That's muscle memory, baby. So yeah, this comes from the original. You mean Donnie T? A while back, you mentioned that you were pre-diabetic. This is a conversation that took place. Wait, what? This is a conversation that took place in the emails between Mark Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein. They're the brother of Jeffrey Epstein, Mark Epstein. How are you doing? A while back, you mentioned you were pre-diabetic. Has anything changed with that? What is your boy Donald up to now? All good, Bannon with me. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump Bubba. And I thought I had Cirrus. You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard, sent via tin can and string. You mean Donnie T. I'd rather be in Donnie D's shoes. I don't know what these references are. But basically, the big part of this, you know, the major incident here is when he said, ask him if Putin has photos of Trump Bubba. Okay. Source is Yiddish for issues. Okay. Wait, this is 2018. Why is it over email and not text? Because they're boomers, man. Or maybe because they wanted us to see it later down the line. I don't know. But they were very forthcoming. From POTUS to Throatus. It says photos implying its existence. Now, do I think that Bill Clinton? No, I don't. This is most likely two brothers talking shit. Especially because Mark Epstein, from what if I recall correctly, was very anti-Trump. And Jeffrey Epstein also had like a liberal, I mean, he's a billionaire trafficker also. He transcends above the partisan lines, but had a liberal tinge to his personal politics, I guess. You will regret that take. What take?
Epstein files, President Trump ordering the Department of Justice to investigate the convicted sex offenders' possible ties to Democrats, and in particular.
Careful, if we find out that's really true, they'll brand this as the next Ukraine. Brother, if it turns out that Donald Trump actually off Bill Clinton, are you kidding me? I don't think anybody will turn around and be like, wow, Hasan, you were wrong on this. Hold this L. It is an L that I will gladly hold, for the record. Okay? It will be my greatest L of all time. I will not care about holding that L because I will be losing my mind. First of all, America will collapse if that's real. You understand that, right? Because I've been thinking about this quite a bit. Republicans, many of them, can see themselves in Trump's shoes. This is very important to understand. They can see themselves being like, oh, who amongst us hasn't wanted to, one of our daughter's friends, who cares if they're young? They can see themselves being some of them have actual pedophilic tendencies. Some of them have actually done pedophilia, right? In the base of MAGA support. But none of them can defend off Bill Clinton, okay? It is the only thing that could destroy Donald Trump. Donald Trump doing pedophilia would not destroy the loyalty that he has developed within the MAGA base as much as Donald Trump off Bill Clinton. Donald Trump off any random guy would still be worse than Donald Trump being a pedophile in the eyes of the MAGA base. However, that guy being Bill Clinton is the absolute worst thing, okay? I've been thinking about this quite a bit. It's like, what if the real reason why Donald Trump did not want the Epstein files to be released is not because he actually was doing pedophilia, but because he knows that Jeffrey Epstein knows the secret that him and Bill Clinton actually had gay sex? Because there is no defense of that. Because I hadn't even thought about this because I had not considered Donald Trump potentially off Bill's penis. My mistake. I guess I'm not pre-watch Piker on that. I guess the only thing worse than Donald Trump being caught off Bill Clinton would be if he's off Obama. That's it. Here's an old tweet. If Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? At real Donald Trump. Hashtag 2016 president. The sad state of affairs in this country is, and this brings me no pleasure to say it. This brings me no pleasure to report. But the sad state of politics in America dictates that pedophilia is not a career ender in the way that having gay sex would be for Donald Trump. Oh, John Marco said the same thing. It's sad to say, but for Republicans, I think the gay allegation is more damaging than the pedophilia one. And it's not just any gay allegation. It's the absolute worst, pretty much. For his base, you mean? Yes, for his base. For his base. And the reason for why it's worse for his base is because they can see themselves being a pedophile, but they can't see themselves in Bill Clinton's dick. Is this difficult to comprehend? I don't know. Maybe you guys are like, I don't understand. There's nothing wrong with being gay. I agree. I'm not talking about it from my perspective because let's be real. Cancellation is not real. Okay. Cancel culture is not, I mean, it's weaponized all the time. And dare I say, more successfully utilized against the left than it is the right. And the reason for why it's more successfully utilized against the left than the right is because you can only be, quote unquote, canceled by your fans. You can only be canceled by your own audience, by your own base of support. And Donald Trump's base of support openly has shown that they do not give a fuck about pedophilia. They don't care. Some will, but not all. I mean, Megyn Kelly basically revealed that. I think it's the dick that he matters more than the dick in and of itself. No, the dick in and of itself matters the most, but the dick that he, if it's Bill Clinton's, makes it completely irredeemable in the eyes of the MAGA base. But yes, I think Republicans unironically think being gay is worse than being a...
I'll kiss every guy, man and woman, man and woman. Look at that guy, how handsome he is. I'll kiss him.
I'll kiss every man and woman. I'll kiss every guy, every man and woman. Anyway, in the heat of all of this panic and the memes and everything else that's going on, Donald Trump, of course, came out and is trying to get ahead of the situation. So he demanded that the DOJ investigate Epstein's ties to the Democrats. Now, I love this for two reasons. One, because there are ties with Democrats and Jeffrey Epstein, and I think those ties should be exposed. But I do think that this also pushes the Democrats in general to also fight back and go extra hard on the ties that Jeffrey Epstein has to prominent Republicans, including Donald Trump. This is a moment for us on the left to kick our feet back and enjoy the show from the outside.
Former President Bill Clinton. This just days after the release of Epstein emails that mention President Trump.
SB96, thank you for the 10
White
gifted.
House correspondent Selena Wang is here now with the latest. Good morning, Selena. This has been a big talker.
Hey, Janae, it sure has. And the president here is trying to change the subject, calling for these investigations into Democrats to shift focus away from questions about his relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. But even though the White House insists the president has done nothing wrong, they're still refusing to release the full Epstein files. Overnight, President Trump defending his extraordinary order to his attorney general and the FBI to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement.
He was on the Lolita Express. Oh, dude. Oh, my God. I don't even want to get into that. Holy shit, dude. Noam Chomsky's connections to Jeffrey Epstein are so vast. It's so much worse than I previously thought it was. It is fucking crazy. Okay? It is absolutely crazy.
And relationship with several prominent Democrats, including former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and, quote, many other people and institutions.
I am considered the chief law enforcement agent in the country, and I'm allowed to do it.
Attorney General Pam Bondi publicly responding on Friday, will do, saying the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity. This comes even though Bondi herself had closed the Epstein case earlier this year, declaring, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third."
So why are you singing a different tune now?
Parties. Top Democrats calling Trump panicked and desperate.
Will Donald Trump be investigated as part of this? Or is there going to be one set of rules for Donald Trump?
His ass was not manufacturing consent? No, he was. Just for something different. His ass was manufacturing consent. Manufacturing an alternative vision of age of consent. Okay?
Trump's friends and supporters, and another set for his critics.
Former President Clinton did travel on Epstein's plane multiple times after his presidency, but Clinton says he was unaware of Epstein's crimes and never visited Epstein's private island. He has not been accused of wrongdoing. A spokesperson for the Clinton Foundation says these emails prove Bill Clinton did nothing and knew nothing. The rest is noise meant to distract from election losses, backfiring shutdowns, and who knows what else. Even some Republicans pushing back.
Okay, dude. All right, dude. Bill Clinton knew nothing and did nothing. Bill Clinton is literally more visibly connected to Jeffrey Epstein than Donald Trump was until this very moment. Okay? It turns out Donald Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein were far more significant than we previously thought. And I will say, as a ball knower, as someone who's paid close attention to this stuff, I used to always say, like, well, you know, there's a point where Donald Trump is no longer There's a point where Donald Trump no longer publicly associates with Jeffrey Epstein, and it far predates Bill Clinton, right? The Clinton family kept their connection to Jeffrey Epstein fairly visible. Ghislaine Maxwell was front and center at Chelsea Clinton's wedding, for example. Donald Trump, it turns out, was also still very connected to Jeffrey Epstein. More connected than we previously thought. I previously said, due to the MAD principle, mutually assured destruction principle, mutually assured pedophilia destruction principle specifically, because of how many powerful people were associated with Jeffrey Epstein, that no one would actually ever dare to blow the lid on this thing. But now that there's so much public pressure and Trump feels the need to be responsive to said public pressure due to the fact that his popularity is waning, it kind of feels like this house of cards is falling apart.
On Trump's demand.
I would ask him not to do that, because all it does is taint our legal system.
This all comes 2 days after the House Oversight Committee released thousands of documents from Epstein's estate. Many of them mention Trump. In a 2017 email to former Secretary Larry Summers, Epstein writes, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body, so yes, dangerous." In a 2018 text to an unidentified person, Epstein writes, "I am the one able to take him down." Trump, who denies any wrongdoing, says he cut ties with Epstein because Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, were luring away women and teenage girls who worked at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I always knew it was a pedophile. Doesn't hit as hard when Jeffrey Epstein's fucking talking about, I always knew it was a pedophile. Doesn't hit as hard when Jeffrey Epstein is fucking talking about meeting Donald Trump in like 2019, right before he was arrested, alongside Prince Andrew.
Next week, dozens of House Republicans are expected to break with the president and vote to demand the release of the FBI's full Epstein files, something that Trump, his vice president, and FBI Director Kash Patel had vowed to do during the campaign.
What the hell are the...
Never thought this before, but Trump may have murked Epstein. I mean, I always assumed it was the deep state burning an asset. I didn't realize that it was Donald Trump directing said deep state burning, the deep state burning of the asset.
House Republicans doing? They have the majority. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
But now that Patel is running the FBI, he's refusing to release the files as the pressure intensifies. 20 of Epstein's victims are urging lawmakers in a letter to make the files public, writing in part, "Imagine if you yourself were a survivor. What would you want for them? What would you want for yourself? When you vote, we will remember your decision at the ballot box." But even if that vote passes the House next week, it is unclear what would happen in the Senate, and it's very unlikely President Trump would sign on. But this does put Republican lawmakers in a difficult position. Some of Trump's own top officials had stoked conspiracies about Epstein for years, and now many Republican voters are calling for those files to be released.
Yes, so many questions, Selena. Thank you for your reporting.
President Trump says he is withdrawing his endorsement for one of his most steadfast backers in Congress. In a Truth Social post late last night, the president said he no longer supports Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a...
Yup. And the fallout continues. That's right. From lovers to haters arc, Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the more outspoken Republicans on the release of the Epstein files. Marjorie Taylor Greene has also been very outspoken on Israel as well. It seems that she had greater ambitions of becoming a senator, and Donald Trump said no. And that caused her to have a come to Jesus moment, if you will, that basically caused her to go, okay, well, fuck you then. You hate to see two queens fight? I know. Two zesty sex addicts. Here's her boyfriend, a prolific Trump glazer, is taking the news. Standing by Marjorie Taylor Greene so far. Yeah, Brian Glenn, who famously asked Zelensky, why aren't you wearing a fucking suit? Brian Glenn, who is the chief White House correspondent for Real America's Voice, as I told you, is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. I've talked about this quite a bit. And in the aftermath of this fissure, this deep fissure that exists, this deep fissure that is only worsening, Donald Trump lost a loyal media guy who says, I stand by my queen, my beautiful queen. I love this woman. I love this country. God bless America, at Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend is posting this after Trump disowned her, when his own career is based on proximity to Trump, is very romantic. We all know Donald Trump has a tendency to punish dissenters who exhibit any sort of disloyalty. So I don't know how he will react to this. If we don't see Brian Glenn at the next White House presser, you know that he has fallen on his own sword for love, okay? Banned from the White House as the chief White House correspondent for Real America Voice.
Ranting lunatic. This comes after Greene appeared on CBS Mornings Friday to discuss her support for a vote to release all of the files in the investigation of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
The president has denied any knowledge of sexual abuse by Epstein, but this is the latest move to deflect attention away from himself. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane has more.
President Trump has been unable to shake the questions about his relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and is now trying to change the focus to others who were allegedly in Epstein's orbit.
This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective.
The president called for an investigation into 3 high-profile Democrats who he said had relationships with Epstein: former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and venture capitalist Reid Hoffman. All 3 men's names appear in newly released Epstein emails. Trump posted that these men spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Soon after, Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to the president on social media saying an official probe had begun. But there is still growing pushback.
This move is being seen as Trump putting Israel first by the online hogs. Yep, because it's true. There is truth to this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is openly anti-Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene's openly anti-Israel tendencies is a problem for the base. Donald Trump is at an impasse here. Does he continue to try to hold the base together? Or does he start attacking people who are tangentially critical of him for the Epstein stuff or for Israel, which is also another version of the Epstein stuff anyway. Or it's another version of the Israel stuff, rather. Sorry. For us, this is a wonderful opportunity. Let's be real. Republicans have leaned into this stuff for many, many years, conspiracies, specifically anti-Semitic ones. And now those chickens are coming home to roost. Clearly, if your coalition building revolves around entertaining these sorts of opinions, why is this button undone again? This button just keeps getting undone on its own. What the fuck? Crazy. If your coalition building revolves around entertaining anti-Semitic conspiracies and fascists, then eventually those fascists are going to turn on you because you yourself have to be pro-Israel unconditionally. Your fat man tits keep doing it. That's true. It's true. My titties are busting today. My yiddies. And some of these guys are now hitting it. Don't go against Israel or Trump will call you a traitor. Marjorie Traitor Greene is a disgrace to our great Republican Party, says Donald Trump. Interesting. Marjorie Taylor Greene responds with this. President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge. The Epstein files. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. What is this? I already told my husband on January 20th, 2017, he will sleep with the next president of the United States. Okay, that's not a real tweet, but that's really funny. Okay. And the only reason why it's not a real tweet is because Hillary Clinton does not have sex with Bill Clinton, famously. Okay? As far as we know, there's a higher likelihood that Donald Trump actually sucked off Bill Clinton than Hillary Clinton had sex with Bill post Monica Lewinsky, possibly even pre-Monica Lewinsky. What's crazy is Donald Trump doesn't drink or do drugs. He's doing a sax solo on Clinton off a Diet Coke and a lime. Oh my God. That is true. I didn't even think about that. I did not even think about that. Kyle Kalinske hits the did not blow. Donald Trump, the devil's triangle here, okay? Donald Trump, that Bill Clinton blew. Monica Lewinsky blew Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton blew Bill Clinton. Did not blow, did not blow, did not blow, okay? Except John Marco says there's no evidence Hillary blew him. Wait, Monica Lewinsky was the fall guy? It was Donald? Oh my God, how deep does this fucking conspiracy go, dude? What the fuck? Hold on, chatter. You're not wrong. What if it was actually Donald Trump that blew Bill Clinton in the White House? And then they made Monica Lewinsky into the fall guy. Entire time. I like it. I believe it. That's headcanon. That's canon. That's canon. Lock it in. Well, yeah. Anyway, getting back to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example. It's astonishing, really, how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out that he actually goes to this level. But really, most Americans wish he would fight this hard to help the forgotten men and women of America who are fed up with foreign wars and foreign causes, are going broke trying to feed their families, and are losing hope of ever achieving the American dream. That's what I voted for. I have supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him, even when almost all other Republicans turned their back and denounced him. Throatback Mountain? Okay. But I don't know. I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship God. Jesus is my savior. And I serve my district GA14 and the American people. I remain the same today as I've always been. And I will continue to pray this administration will be successful because the American people desperately deserve what they voted for. For me, I remain America first and America only. Today, this is what she sent to DJT. In every single interview I've done, I've defended President Trump. I've said over and over, the women say he did nothing wrong, and their attorney says he's the only one who helped. And the Democrats had 4 years to release the files, but did nothing. Stop ignoring the women. Many of them literally voted for President Trump and say so publicly. Them being raped as teenagers is not a hoax. Yeah, this does give a whole new meaning to Big Beautiful Bill. She also tweeted out, I forgive him. I like that she said, I don't serve Donald Trump, but then still turned around and 11 hours ago said, good morning. I want to thank everyone who texted and posted. Toxic political industrial complex thrives on ripping us all apart and never delivers anything good for the American people whom I love. The PIC tells us to hate each other, fundraises off of why we have to hate each other, and pits Americans against each other. This is all so wrong. Where does she say? Where does game recognizes game? Did you see this tweet? Oh, this and the Epstein files is why I'm being attacked by President Trump. It really makes you wonder what is in those files and who and what country is putting so much pressure on him. I forgive him and I will pray for him to return to his original MAGA promises. Oh, incredible things are happening on True Social. Oh my God. These guys are one fucking speed, dude. They have one speed. This is the same as like looking at Mark Milley and being like, oh, he's a woke Maoist Milley. It's fucking crazy. Marjorie Taylor Queen. Ay, ay, ay. Unironically, more hogs look like that than liberals. Exactly. The blue hair septum piercing doesn't work no more. It doesn't work any longer. There are so many fucking crusty ass conservatives out there that look like that. Oh, she also is getting contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world. The man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who were radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now, this time by the President of the United States. As a woman, I take threats from men seriously. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, she's gone woke. I mean, yeah, the Republicans have a quick way of just immediately being like, well, you yourself are obviously anti-Trump. You're against our big, beautiful president. And that means you are woke. Let's see what Alan Dershowitz was saying, by the way, on News Nation. Also, what the fuck is this mustache?
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile. Well, let me.
Oh, brother. I mean, this is pure Dersh, right? I mean, this is how he is. This is the classic Dersh. Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein's bestie, has famously written articles about how we must lower the age of consent. So it's not that shocking that he would hit this line of defense. Dershowitz, who helped Jeffrey Epstein get his sweetheart deal, knows full well that there were almost 36 girls ages 13 to 17 who were named in a list that accompanied this plea deal. The final plea paperwork was manipulated to pick just one victim, and his lawyers made sure to choose the oldest so that it didn't look so bad. But the girl who came forward first of the police was 14, and the list of other victims attached to that deal included many young girls. My queen, Julie K. Brown, is popping off. Miami Herald journalist. She is obviously one of the biggest, what is this breaking? Massive crowds are now gathering outside the White House demanding the Trump resignation in the wake of the Epstein email access. Is this real? The political temperature in D.C. is exploding.
And then at the end, I want you to know one of the most beautiful things about this movement.
It looks like AI. Is it AI? I can't tell if this is AI or not. Are we cooked? Those are RevComs. Anyway, let's see what this, let's look at the, it was live on The Independent. Okay. Let's look at what Donald Trump was saying. Or not Donald Trump.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen.
What?
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding-dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
Didn't you already tell Der Spiegel that?
No, the son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself and I was changing shirts. He goes, oh, that's a good shot. Let's get your shirts. And then he goes, I go, hey, have some of this chicken and sausage. So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men. And if I liked men, I'd be proud of it. I'd have a line of them. But I ain't ever been in bed with no man. I've been in bed with probably 300 women. And
this is why he's the GOAT, by the way. Like, this is why he is irreplaceable. This is why he is irreplaceable as a figure on the right. He's just like the fucking raw sexual charisma of Alex Jones. God damn, what a legend.
You sons of bitches sit there and you play these games, and I'm sick of it. So there's no video of President Trump
sucking a ding dong. I mean, we know he's a chaser. Like that's proven. He is straight up a chaser. So that's not fake. That's real. There's a real thing. It was right in front of us the whole time.
Inside the president's own party. Speaking to CBS Mornings, Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene said the president has made a mistake opposing the release of the full Epstein case files.
Just being very honest with you, it's something that I don't understand. I think it's a huge miscalculation. And I truly just stand with the women, and I think they deserve to be the ones that we're fighting for.
With Greene and a handful of other Republicans supporting it, the U.S. House is poised to vote next week on a plan requiring the Department of Justice to release those files.
They can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already.
A number of Congress urging them to do so. The administration's handling of this investigation has been inconsistent all year. In February, the FBI said it would uncover any missing records. In July, the Department of Justice said they found no evidence of an Epstein client list or blackmail. And then on Friday, the Attorney General launched an investigation into Democrats, as recommended by the president. For CBS Saturday Morning, Scott McFarland, Washington.
One thing that happened, I asked President Trump in the Oval Office about those criticisms of his administration from Marjorie Taylor Greene. We are now in the middle of witnessing a major blow up between the two of them. One that a lot of people probably predicted would or did not expect would ever happen, with the president attacking her and her now calling the president saying that he is lying about her and that she believes this is all over him trying to bully other Republicans into not voting in favor of that discharge petition on the Epstein files this week. I wonder what you make of what's playing out.
It's like they put truth serum in the MAGA water cooler, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump are both condemned to tell the truth about the other. Everything each says is right. They are narcissists. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right that Donald Trump has no domestic agenda except to harm ordinary people, and Donald Trump is right that Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy. So it's useful information all around. But what I worry most about this and the Epstein files and all the things that Trump has tried to keep control of, escaping his control, is he has one big distraction in his hand, and I fear he may be about to deploy it. We are seeing in the Caribbean right now the largest buildup of U.S. naval forces in the region since the Cuban Missile Crisis. There's no plan. There's no authorization by Congress. There are no regional partners. It is not a war that should be fought in this way at this time. But one thing it would do is change the subject.
So you're worried that he could take action on a foreign policy move?
Okay. I'm going to do this one more time. Donald Trump, if you really want to change the discourse around this stuff, do socialized medicine. I promise it'll really piss off everybody. Okay? Nobody will talk about the Epstein stuff ever again, really. Everyone will talk about how, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. This is so unacceptable. How dare you do this? Socialized medicine, high-speed rail, socialized medicine, building a robust industrial base. Hold on. Ezra Klein actually made a good set of points about Mamdani woke us back. I know I covered it earlier. You missed it. Free college. You can call it fucking Trump care if you want. Andrew Filer, thank you for the gifted subs. I'm just saying, if you really want a distraction, it's much better than bombing Venezuela. And it'll be an ongoing distraction too. Please distract us with that. Mr. President, please, I'm begging you. And it's a win-win because you get to destroy Obama's legacy. Think about how much you can own the libs and own Barack Obama. You get to destroy Obama's legacy and you get to build something that's even better than what Obama couldn't achieve. Only you can do it, Mr. President, please.
To distract from what's happening in Washington.
Yeah, I think that explains a lot of his foreign policy operations, but the forces are there. They've been pulled away from other theaters where they might be needed. They're building up to something. Again, they have no authorization. They have no allies. They have no goals. But boy, would it change the subject. And boy, does Donald Trump right now need a subject change.
Yeah, and we've seen what's been playing out. Obviously, the president was saying tonight he didn't know if he'd take that step. He wasn't sure. We know he's been briefed on options there. But on this, in and of itself, do you think that is the reason he's criticizing Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, is because he doesn't want other Republicans coming out and what we've told could be a huge snowball effect next week when Speaker Mike Johnson actually puts this on the floor, that a lot of Republicans could end up bucking the White House and voting for this? I think he genuinely can't help himself. I don't know that Donald Trump has fully formed strategic plans. He has a lot of impulses. He's also testing the old magic. After one of the things that has happened after the elections in New Jersey and Virginia and elsewhere, and Georgia maybe most significantly, because there was an all-state race that Republican candidates lost, is a lot of Republicans have to be thinking, what about my future? I used to think the greatest hazard to my future might be that Donald Trump would criticize me, but maybe actually now he can't help me and might even hurt me. And that's a little bit of discipline lost. And Marjorie Taylor Greene may be the test case where a lot of less inflammatory Republicans are saying, if she gets away with this, we can all get away with it. Yeah, and she's obviously someone who has been a huge advocate of his and very loyal to the president, especially after January 6th when everything happened. And obviously, no one can forget Biden's...
She's not a good actor. I mean, she's not a hero of the Republic, but she is somebody who may be just crazy enough to actually believe the things that Donald Trump says without believing them.
So a lot has happened tonight. Buckle up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is learning what it feels like to be on Trump's bad side. She has been one of the most vocal Republicans calling for the full release of the Justice Department's investigative files on Jeffrey Epstein. And now President Trump tonight is unendorsing. He is withdrawing his endorsement of Marjorie Taylor Greene and writing on Truth Social that all I see wacky Marjorie do is complain. And then he added that I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. There was a lot there. So you can go and then talk about a lot. Then MTG fired back with screenshots of text messages that she claims where she claims that Trump is lying and that she did not call him, also saying that it is astonishing, really, how hard he is fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out. She argued that she has been one of Trump's strongest supporters, but that she doesn't, quote, worship or serve Donald Trump. On top of unendorsing, he actually said that he would support anyone who would be primarying her in the upcoming election. Who wants to take this one on?
Well, I can tell you that is not unusual in politics. Political romances are often short-lived, and she is...
You touched on this last stream. One of the big stories of 2016, 2027, and 2028 is that many Republicans do want to start quietly moving on from Trump, and how successful Trump's attempts at controlling primaries will be as a lame duck. Yeah. He is a galvanizing force, unfortunately, for the Republicans. Establishment Republicans haven't stopped hating Donald Trump. Okay? The only times where they forget about their hatred for Donald Trump is when Donald Trump delivers on deregulation and also tax cuts for the super wealthy. But they still see Donald Trump as an uncontrollable force. That's the reason why they tried to pull the Ron DeSantis exit ramp. But it was a spectacular failure. So we don't know how that will look.
critical of him not only about the Epstein files, but about his involvement in foreign affairs. And I don't mean with women. I mean in various parts of the world.
You said it, no.
Just to clear the table on that one. and so it's not surprising that they have had a breakup of sorts. After all, he didn't give her a ring. He just supported her for a little while.
Listen, this fire is spreading. I mean, right, it started off talking about Epstein in the beginning. Then during the shutdown, she was one of the few Republicans that correctly identified Donald Trump's unwillingness to subsidies and lower healthcare costs for Americans as being one of the reasons why the shutdown occurred.
Yeah, she was very...
Liberals love a former Republican. I guess just as much as Republicans love a former Democrat. Not to say that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a former Republican. I think she's still very much invested in being a Republican. Maybe even more right-wing than Donald Trump is. But you will see liberals. I feel like it's already started, but like liberals are gushing over Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I mean, for me, it's strategic, right? I don't have an issue with hyping up what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing currently because I think it's beneficial. I think it's good when the Republicans are fighting. But I do fear that liberals might take it a step further.
About that.
Now she's talking about foreign policy. This is not going away. Whatever is going on between them seems to only be heating up, and I think the rest of us should get the popcorn.
I think
here for it.
And a war with words, sorry, Scott, a war with words with Donald Trump is such a risky business that I cannot believe she has the bravery to engage in it, because even if she was right, she's still going to lose.
Is there an example of anyone beating Donald Trump at this game?
Never. This is his game, and he's great at it. And she's barking up a tree that she's going to fall on her really hard.
You know, it's interesting. He has some people who profess to be strong supporters who do oppose him more often than the people that you might not think are his strongest supporters. She's one of them. Thomas Massie in Kentucky is another one. Rand Paul, my home state senator, he takes on Trump, although they profess to be Trump supporters. In this case, I think he had the order out of order. I trace all this back to his decision, the righteous decision to strike Iran. She was against it. So were some of the people who occupied.
Yeah, of course, Scott Jennings loves Donald Trump's righteous decision to strike Iran. He's a fucking pro-Israel stooge. I think it's an interesting phenomenon that we're experiencing because Marjorie Taylor Greene is not actually opposing Donald Trump from the left flank. Well, I guess kind of but she is she's saying she's true to the America First principles that Donald Trump initially ran on. You know, helping the American working class, isolationism as a foreign policy. Like, these are the things that Donald Trump initially ran on. These are the things that a lot of people like Donald Trump for. So, and there's a lot of people who are anti-Israel. So she's leaning into that crowd. Of course, none of these people on the media side are anti-Israel, make no mistake, but that's what's going on here.
That wing of the party, he defied them. And since that time, they all seem to be stridently picking at him on this issue or that. And then, of course, everybody knows in Washington, Miles, you know, the fastest way to get in front of a television camera if you're a Republican is to come out and crap on Donald Trump. And so
That is what she is doing.
But you know, Scott,
that is what she is doing.
I trace it
is
back further than that, Scott.
Over these issues, and that's what happened.
Scott, I trace it further back than that. I trace it back to 10 years ago when you said Donald Trump was an authoritarian. And you know what, Scott, I've got to hand it to you. That was a remarkable forecast because 10 years later, I think you called it. Here's Donald Trump today, the man with the heart and soul of a fascist, showing us he now has the bona fides. By tonight, ordering investigations into American citizens. That's why members of his party, that's why members of his
he's running the executive against him. Why are you so upset he's running the executive branch?
For the same reasons you predicted he shouldn't. For the same reasons, Scott, you said he violated his oath and he should never be back in that office. For the man being in the Oval Office.
I happily voted for him 3 times.
I know that.
The alternative was terrible.
And a lot of your friends were shocked.
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends would have been shocked at you trying to subvert the elected president of the United States, which you did.
Well, I proudly did. I proudly
some
said
mid-level
to the
staffer
country
substituting his judgment for the elected president of the United States.
Well, Scott, I would have loved to have seen you stand up to it.
Good luck.
Back to MTG.
I don't even know what's going on. It's just like they're infighting because it's all right wingers on the fucking panel. It's like rhinos versus former rhinos, now pro-Trump, and they're just like fighting each other. I guess this is what happens when you're too successful. Right wingers are so successful at like doing political violence that they end up doing it to themselves, as we've seen many times over. And I guess the same thing goes for right wingers on this Trump stuff, where it's like, we've already so thoroughly dominated the left flank, or not left flank necessarily, but like the Democrats, that it's time to fight amongst ourselves. It's awesome. Pascal Emmanuel Gabri says, Marjorie Taylor Greene is an example of the promise of and peril of populism. She's a good person, a mom who loves her country. She was a better congressperson than an empty suit would have been in her place. But she's also clearly not very bright, extremely gullible, and emotionally incontinent. And ultimately, doesn't have the skills to produce any real political wins or policy outcomes that can actually make a difference to the people she wants to represent. Sad. Yeah. As in, I liked it better when she was screaming about Rothschild space lasers instead of actual abuses by powerful people. Yeah. Both Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens has said actually anti-Semitic shit, and they have been defended by the Republicans until they became anti-Israel. Republicans, for the longest time, and this is, conservative Jews who are Republican as well, have also abided by this principle that it doesn't matter if you are an anti-Semite as long as you're pro-Israel, right? That was the method. Their anti-Semitism was not a deal breaker until they became anti-Israel. If you can't recognize that, I don't know what to tell you. Ben Shapiro quite literally has openly stated this when defending Ann Coulter, when she said anti-Semitic shit way back in the day. Not only that, but also Ben Shapiro hired Candace Owens, even though he knew very well that she was also anti-Semitic. Ben Shapiro fired Candace Owens when Candace Owens, the perfect room reader, decided to turn on Israel. She used to have many pro-Israel tweets back in the day, but when she became anti-Israel, that's when it was a bridge too far. You're such a little bitch sometimes, man. What do you mean? Well, thank you for saying sometimes, but not all the time. I'll take it.
Is it the sign of a changing tide? Is it the sign, or is it a singular one back and forth between one Republican who is getting into a fight with Donald Trump? Or do you think there is a possibility that it is the beginnings of Republicans seeing past the Donald Trump era?
The short answer is that we don't know.
Because you've got like Thomas Massey saying exactly that. Like your vote on this discharge petition is going to outlast Donald Trump's time here. So you need to consider that when you make your decision.
But if we keep paying attention, what we see is that last week, the president got his clock clean in an election. All the Republicans got their clock clean in an election. This week, we see what's happening with the Epstein files. So next week, we're going to see them take a vote. And if we see a bunch of Republicans defect on the Epstein files, I think what we're seeing is the real testing of the waters to find out whether or not you can oppose Donald Trump and still get elected. When we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the one thing we haven't talked about yet is her fundraising prowess. And according to sources, she is the most popular fundraiser in the Republican Party other than Donald Trump.
Yeah, they got their cock cleaned by Donald Trump, like Bill Clinton did. Bill Clinton got his cock cleaned by Donald Trump.
This prediction about no one's going to care about this.
I was asking it a question. I wasn't predicting it.
No, you said people were somebody said that this was going to outlive.
Tom Massey.
The prediction that this was going to outlive. I totally disagree with that. I think right now more people are worried about whether they can watch ESPN on YouTube TV tomorrow than they care about this. And that's certainly going to be true in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years from today.
What they do care about, hold on, but what they do care about,
they did not get their clocks cleaned last
They do
week.
care about
They
the fact
did
that the
not.
president is sort of breaking everything.
Right.
They see a hole in the White House right.
It's obvious what the Democrats need to do. They need to get together and, in the interest of bipartisanship, not reveal the Jeffrey Epstein files. Make a commitment that they're not going to reveal the Epstein files because, things are going too good for the Dems again, okay? And not because of what they've been doing, but what the Republicans have been doing. Democrats, do the right thing as always. Democrats, do the right thing. Stop with this. Stop with this partisan gamesmanship. Do the right thing for the country. Defend Donald Trump. Chuck Schumer's going to come out and be like, who amongst us hasn't sucked off Bill Clinton? Really? That was a moment of unique bipartisanship from the president, and we must go back to a strong Republican Party. Do not speak that into existence. Last time I made this sort of joke, it ended up becoming reality with the shutdown ending. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massey, and Rand Paul are the only Republicans actually standing up to Trump, yet are never praised by the people who can't ever shut the fuck up about good Republicans. Confirms that bit was all just about building a political mandate for interventionist foreign policy. I don't know who this person is talking about, but I do think that there are Republicans who like that Thomas Massey standing up to Trump.
No, I was in Detroit last weekend for an event, and it was the number one thing people came up to me at the scholarship dinner to ask about. Is it okay for the president to tear down the White House without anybody's permission?
That was the number one thing?
That was the number one thing that people brought up unprovoked.
The hearing is over and over again. It's like, no one cares about this because they only care about that. We've talked
about? They can't buy a house.
That they can't. They care about
houses
affordability.
are unaffordable and that food costs too much. But they don't care about the White House. The fact is, a president who can't model the White House.
Many people care about the White House.
That's ridiculous.
Many Americans care about the White House. You don't care about the White House.
Can't remodel a room in the White House.
He tore it down.
Obama keeps name dropping Bill Clinton. He is no Bill Clinton. Okay, well, this confirms he didn't suck off Obama, for all we know. Obama is clear from the suck. I think one of the funniest parts about this has been the Trump administration trying to do counter-narrative propaganda on this issue. And they're just like posting Donald Trump with little children to be like, see, he can be around children without having sex with them. Or even this post, I can't help falling in love with you. He's like, no, see, Donald Trump actually loves his adult female wife. Yeah, this really made us believe it, man. If anything, like I said, so he did suck him off. If anything, this looks too much like he's compensating for something. I don't know, man. Maybe what if he hates Obama because Obama wouldn't let him suck his dick? Oh, that could be another reason.
In the middle of a
I couldn't
government
tear down my
shutdown.
garage without getting a permit from the city.
And that's
He can
all
tear down.
regulation.
Let me ask you this.
Jobs.
And without Manchin and Sinema, they would have done it the last.
Would you be open to endorsing someone primarying Marjorie Taylor Greene given her latest statements?
Well, it depends on who runs against her. I mean, I'm no longer much of a fan because I disagree with her policy. When she said that, going to foreign countries, bringing back trillions of dollars is not important. Do you think I want to go and be on an airplane for 20 hours? Some of you were with me. 22 hours to be exact, travel and then get off and make a speech and get people to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in our country. I'd rather do it without having to go, but if you didn't go, you wouldn't be able to have that kind of result. As an example, Malaysia. If you look at Thailand, I stopped a war in Thailand and Cambodia. If I didn't go to that region, I probably wouldn't have been able to stop that war. That war would have been very costly in terms of lives, but even costly in terms of us.
Are you meeting with Indiana?
Think about it.
On Epstein, sir, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that a vote will happen in the House. I know you wrote about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends because, you know, if they're going to do that, and I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clayton. I understand that's who's been assigned.
But does the Congresswoman have a point?
Does Marjorie Taylor Greene have a point?
Does she have a point, though?
I know nothing about her.
On the release of the files. All the files.
Well, she can.
I know nothing about her. That's crazy. I know nothing about her. Who is that woman? She's dead to me. All of a sudden, fake friend, don't know her.
They can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already. Look, this is a Democrat hoax. This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective. But this is a Democrat hoax to get away from the fact that they just lost the shutdown and they've lost the elections. They've lost the big election, to me, in a record number. They lost the popular vote. They lost the swing states. They lost everything. I think it was 312 to 220 something. So this is a way of...
This is absolutely the worst time for Donald Trump. His popularity is waning. The affordability crisis is coming back to bite him in the ass. He's weak. He's ineffective. His base is actually frustrated with him. That's the reason why they're talking about like the traveling stuff. Because he knows that that's another reason why Republicans are mad. Because they're like, bro, why are you fucking constantly in like Asia and shit? Come back home and fix the goddamn grocery prices. I can't believe it, dude. 11 months, and here we are.
Not talking about that. It's a hoax. This is no different than Russia. And it's headed up by Democrats and some very weak Republicans.
I was just wondering if you have a timeline.
Very
for
few.
Timeline for when you might release more of those files? Can it be
Which ones?
Democrats to Epstein.
Well, I don't know about those files. I know nothing about it. But I understand they released like 40 or 50,000 pages already. And nobody knows. I will say this. If they had anything, they would have used it before the election. Okay? I can't tell you what they put in since the election. But if they had anything, you don't think they would have used it before the election? They would have gladly used it before the election.
Mr. President.
Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? Can you turn that down, please? Too much. Too much. Okay?
Mr. President, what did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, who you know who that is, Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Go ahead.
Incriminating in the files,
Venezuela,
sir?
sir.
Why acting as a...
Quiet, McGee.
On
Go
Venezuela, sir, you've had a lot of meetings on Venezuela. I know you can't tell us what your next steps will be, but can you say, have you made up your mind on what